Doing the right thing as a leader makes the followers to follow your policies. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. This is Nigeria Now on Equa Television International, and I'm doing this with Joy Dakada.
On Nigeria Now. A good day, Samu Solomon. A pleasant afternoon to our viewers out there.
Well, talking about doing the right thing as a leader or as a government, it makes it easy for the followers to key in your policies.
That's true.
But you find people finding it not comfortable when they feel that your policies are anti-people, and it's very difficult for people to really follow you and agree with whatever you're bringing that is for their good and really embrace it.
Sambo Solomon, no matter how good a policy is, if it cannot reflect in the welfare and then the general welfare of the people, then the people will not support it. There are a lot of beautiful policies in this country, if you ask me. But then the implementation, there's always this disparity between formation and implementation. And because of that, not having the right methodology, it brings untold hardship on the people. And at the end of the day, no matter how good intention it is, the people would fight you, will resist you, because they cannot relate to what you are actually saying, as far as it does not translate in making their lives better. So beyond, like you rightly said, when leaders make statements, when leaders come up with policies, let's see them adhering to it. Let's see them using measures that will make life better for the people.
EndSARS issue, it was an issue that was global. You remember how media were following that story, and then we know there was this time that the government took it upon herself to form a tribunal to look into it and to prefer solution, to the outcome of those tribunals, and then we saw how the white paper came. Some people were supposed to be compensated, and so on and so forth. And then it generated a lot of discussion out there. And then later, everything went down. We thought that EndSARS issue will not surface. Not until now that the Lagos State government is planning to bury, to do a mass burial of 103 victims.
Sambo Solomon, the emergence of the EndSARS protests in 2020, specifically in October, you will recall, is one that came up due to police brutality. A lot of young people were killed. We saw that even in Plateau State, there were young people that lost their lives. 300 level student of the University of Jos was killed. And there are some, because of their dressing, their hairstyle, they were mistaken for Yahoo boys and all of that. And so a lot of young people felt, oh, our rights have been infringed upon. Oh, so we do not have rights to move. We do not have the right to even buy phones and acquire, and then we are just being harassed, being arrested, and then called Yahoo boys because we are using this kind of phones and all of that. And so many, we saw how that this police brutality led to the loss of lives of some people, and that generated the EndSARS protest in October of 2020. You will recall that on the 20th of October, a lot of young people lost their lives. It was a sad day in Nigeria. A lot of people protested. People were crying on the street, praying, like, how did we get to this point? It lingered a lot, and so many people actually died as a result of that. We saw how that governments, like you rightly said earlier on, the Lagos State government formed a panel of judiciary to actually look into that case, investigation that really lingered, because we saw how people were questioning the state government, how that, oh, they were the ones that killed the Nigerian army using that force to kill some young people at the Lekki toll gates. But the governor came out to debunk such reports, saying that it was just 2 people that were killed, and later on said that nobody, in his recent statement, saying that nobody was actually killed. That was contrary to the reports that came out from the panel saying that there were a lot of people that were killed at the toll gate. So many questions were asked. We saw how the government at some point say, oh, we are going to compensate victims, we are going to compensate families of those that lost their lives. I recall that one person that I think picture was viral was a corps member that was just sent to Lagos State to serve, and in the process of serving his father's land, he lost his life because they were actually protesting police brutality. There were some people that were just victims. They were not even in the protest, but because they were actually at those places, they were actually shot. We saw how tear gas was everywhere, and this is what the government is actually fighting, saying that, oh, the police, the army did not kill anybody at toll gates. In fact, with the recent reports by Lagos State government, is saying that nobody was killed at the toll gate. But Nigerians are in a better position to actually tell, because we're in a time of media and technological advancement, where even as things are happening, people stream live, people send pictures, people send videos, that you can barely say that this was actually purported, because it was reported. We saw that during the 2023 election in February, how that during the riots, the crises, the killings, the attack, I wouldn't call it crisis or even riot, it was an attack on voters. People actually streamed live. People were actually covering what was actually happening, and then were sending it on Facebook and other platforms. And Nigerians could actually relate to it because they are reporting live from those events. So people were asking questions about the authenticity of the government, the state government's report, after saying, oh, 2 people were actually killed. Later on, the panel are saying, oh, admitting that at some point they said 9, and they said there were a lot of people died at the toll gate. But now the government, while releasing a report about the mass burial of 103 persons that were killed or that died during that NSAS protest, are saying that nobody was killed at the toll gate. In fact, the Lagos State government has said that none of the 103 bodies that was approved for mass burial were recovered from the Lekki toll gate in October 2020 during the NSAS protest against the police brutality. The state government is responding now to a letter which has now gone viral, dated 19 July, the letter by the Public Procurement Agency. And it revealed that the state government engaged the service of Mrs. Toss Funeral Limited, a private firm, at the cost of 61 million to bury 103 bodies tagged the NSAS victims. But on Sunday evening, Olusegun Ogboye, the permanent secretary of the State Ministry of Health, put out a statement to shed light on the bodies, and he said many had alleged that the bodies scheduled for mass burial were of protesters killed by Nigerian army at Lekki toll gate on October 2020. And it says that the state government are saying that all the bodies that were recovered, none of them was at the toll gate, but from different parts of Lagos State, because actually violence erupted, according to the report, in some part of Lagos State, and that led to loss of lives of so many people. And this mass burial that is being planned, it's because nobody has come to claim the dead bodies, even following the announcement that was made sometimes in November, I think, of 2020. Nobody has come to claim the bodies, and because of that, it has constituted like there was no space in the morgue, and there's need for them to evacuate for others. And so the state government is already planning mass burial for this victim. But what is more important is this: if you have leaders, if you have government that the people trust, and the people can say, oh, are actually accountable, then whatever comes from you, people can actually accept to be true. But by the time you have leaders or governments that is not trustworthy, the people can never understand or even relate to whatever they are saying. And that is why we always see that people at the helms of affairs must be truthful. People at the helms of affairs must protect their citizens, because what is the primary responsibility of government? Protections of lives and property. If you fail in that area, you have failed totally. I don't understand why a government today will say 2 people were killed, tomorrow you say nobody was killed at the toll gate. So it is important that we have people that are truthful, we have leaders that have integrity. When you say a word, people should be able to hold you by a word. We say just 2 people, like it is not life. Nigerians as a whole have the right to protest. is constitutional. So when people say we are not happy about a system, they have the right. Nobody should be deprived from saying, oh, we don't like how things are being done, the government should intervene in that. It was becoming like a norm in almost every part of the country, especially in the South, how young people were harassed on a daily basis. People were killed, shootings and all of that, like the one that died here in Plateau State, a 300-level student of the University of Jos. He was shot dead. This is somebody that has an ambition, that has a goal. He hopes to graduate from school and also contribute to the development of the nation. So when we see that, we shouldn't stop people from saying the truth. We should have government that supports the truth, that stands for the truth. We can only grow and become better when we learn to speak truth to power. It is only on that basis that we develop and we grow. But when we continue to hide under the shadow of lies, or just to protect our image or our government, then because of future ambition and all of that, then we'll go nowhere. So it's better we have government that take responsibility for its actions and look at ways and modalities that it can come in and see to the situation, the end of a situation, and see that such situation does not happen. But leaving pain in the heart of family members, friends, and even the country as a whole is not a good one. So we hope that we'll have leaders that can be trusted, leaders that will do the needful. 103. This is not just one, we're not talking about three. 103 persons now are going to be buried. Whether we like it or not, this death is linked to the EndSARS protest. So whether we disregard that, oh no, it's not from Lekki Tollgate, it is definitely, all these deaths were between 19th of October to about, I think, 17th, around 17th of November. So when you check the time frame, it's something that can still relate to the EndSARS protest. Who killed these people? We hope that we'll have a government that is going to be truthful and take responsibility.
Over 5 million worth, 5 million trauma worth of 3.7 billion captured. Still, Lagos is on the lifeline.
Sambo Solomon, is so unfortunate that we live in a time where drugs is almost taking over. Before now, the report was Kano State. If you hear the report about drug abuse and all of that, you can't help but just be sober about the reality that we are faced with. We live in a nation that we cry about lack of development, lack of growth, yet we want to be like other climes. And I don't think that abusing drugs will take us anywhere. This is something that needs to be fight, and we need to give it to the NDLEA, because over the years we have seen how that they have been really fighting drug smuggling. They have been really fighting drug addicts, those people that smuggled and all of that, to see that this thing has ended. But NDLEA alone cannot do this. This is something that all of us need to put our hands together to ensure that we bring an end to it. We're talking about over 5 million tramadol, worth 3.7 billion. What 3.7 billion? This is to tell you the amount of drug abuse that is going on in this country. Who is aiding the smuggling of these drugs? Because our borders are supposed to be well secured. But with all of this, you can't help but say we are just having a porous border. If people can come with this amount, this is just one arrest out of so many that the NDLEA has done, and we are saying that we're giving it to them because they have been up and about in terms of keeping to their responsibility. And this was done by some criminals who attempted to smuggle 98 cartons containing 5,122,900 pills of tramadol, 225 milligram, with an estimated street value of about 3,700,000,000 naira, only into Nigeria through the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja. And thank God that the attempt was thwarted through the robust synergy between men of the Nigerian Customs Service and the NDLEA officers at the airport, as well as those at the DHL cargo warehouse. And then findings have revealed that the consignments were imported from India, Pakistan, while some of the seized consignment had Freetown, Sierra Leone, and as their final destination. Sambo Solomon, a lot is going on. And like I said earlier on, we must commend and we must give it to the NDLEA. This is not just in Lagos. They have done the same operation in Bauchi, and then they recovered like some amount of these hard drugs that is being consumed in Sokoto, the same thing in Adamawa, Bayelsa. Their men are almost everywhere. And they are doing a lot in terms of arresting these perpetrators, these people that keep smuggling, these people that keep selling, these people that have been making money by ensuring that our young people, even the old, are doing drugs. And no wonder now education is something that nobody wants to talk about. People are in school, but they are not studying. When you talk about growth, we are far behind. Why? Because we are not looking at what will take us forward. But with this kind of drug addiction, Sambo Solomon, is a thing of pain. And I hope that all security agency stakeholders are going to put their hands together to ensure that we'll bring an end to this drug smuggling.
I agree with you, because when you have the chunk of your youth going into this venture, then you know already they are destroying the future. Because if you look at it now, we talk about issue of Yahoo, that people are talking, the youth now are engaged more on the issue of drug, because they feel Yahoo boys have the money that they can afford all of this. And then you see people, this I call them evil people, people that doesn't mean well, you know, to the country, because you can't bring something that you know it will destroy your human capital, because destroying the youth is, you are just destroying the future of the country, because what is left of a country that doesn't have youth, you understand? So anybody that does that, you see him, tag him as the enemy of the state, because you are doing that just to destroy
and
the
it's unfortunate
country.
that we have so many communities, so many society cut across states that accommodate these people that come and then engage our young people into drug, introduce them into that. And we must be deliberate about exposing such people. When we hide these criminals in the name of, oh, they are our criminals, or because they are bribing you. I think one of the evidence against these smugglers was they tried to bribe the officer or officers with some monies. And this is not just to NDLEA. Most of our officers and then even civil servants, at one point or the other, people bribe them. And this is to the government to improve the welfare, to improve the salary structure of the civil servant, as well as all of these officers that are at the forefront fighting crimes. Because when you don't, these people might just get like these ones that are about to bribe the officers. Think about it when they collect it and allow all of these at the detriment of the lifespan of our nation. So we must put our hands together to fight this. This is not just work that is supposed to be done by just NDLEA, but every concerned citizens, everyone that love Nigeria and want to see to the growth and development of the country.
And these are kind of people that we want to see them receiving national honor.
True.
Because if you look at these barons, you know, they have money to throw away, because their sources are questionable. So they can afford to give you any amount just for you to be quiet. And we say kudos to those officers that stood their ground, you know, to do what is right for the country. Now we're talking 90 days according to the new electoral law that every president or every governor, you know, must submit, you know, his ministerial list, or governor submitting his commissioner to the state assembly, and then president to ministers to the National Assembly. You know, now we are counting days, few days to go.
Well, it's 4 days. Let me be specific. It's 4 days. I think as way back as June, a lot of people have been anticipating the ministerial list because the president started with taking decisions, assenting to a lot of things and saying no to some appointments and all of that. In fact, some people, I saw a joke that this one, our president is just signing. Hope he will not sign war between Egypt and Nigeria. That's on a lighter note. But he came with energy. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came with so much energy. And so I think it generated the expectations of Nigerians of the ministerial list coming even much earlier. And no wonder we saw so many lists like being spread across social media platform. But we saw how that recently the special advisor on communication strategy as well as special duties came about to debunk almost all of the list that is going on, said that the president is still within time and he's working on that list. We saw how that the Senate as well denied receiving any list, because last week we saw how some papers reported that the Senate has already received the list and they are to deliberate on it before their plenary. But again, the Senate, through its spokesperson, came out to say, no, we are yet to receive anything, and the president is still within the time frame. You will recall that it was last year, specifically March 17, that President Muhammadu Buhari signed this into law, that the president must submit the list of ministers like 90 days. So when you check from the day of the inauguration, May 29, it is expected that before July 29, President Muhammadu Buhari should have submitted his list. We saw how that some human rights lawyers such as Femi Falana has called on the president to be cautious of people that have been going in and out of the presidential villa, tagging some of them with questionable character as they have some kind of corruption cases against them. You saw how that people were trying to shake hands, and more like people are trying to lobby their way into the ministerial list and all of that. But again, there were a lot of calls on the president to look beyond political affiliation, but should consider competence. He should look at somebody that has the ideas, people that can actually deliver, especially when it comes to ensuring that the people have improved welfare. There are a lot of expectations, rightly said, and by Nigerians, one of which is inclusion. People are hoping that when the ministerial list will come out, young people will be there, women will be there, they will be carried along. Already we are seeing the likes of Sheikh Yahya Jingir coming out to say that, see, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not voted because of his party. So tagging, oh, religion is the ground why we voted you. Don't just appoint people from one region of the country and then leave other people. But we are not saying this should never be a basis for appointment. We are looking at competence. We are looking at inclusion. It is expected that each state produce one minister, and that is to say we are going to be having 36 ministers. So it is expected that we look at competence, we look at people that can deliver. Like I said earlier on, workforce is important, energy, skills is important, professionalism is really important in order to actually deliver dividends of democracy. Already we live in a country with over 70% of young people. People want to see fresh, young, vibrant people that can also be carried along when this ministerial list is going to come out. We don't want to see a circle of same people that have been parading themselves for the past decade in seats. And one thing with us as a people, we must come out to speak truth to power. Most times we hide under affiliations, under sycophancy. We keep lying to power just for what we are going to get. We cannot continue to back the wrong people, people that are wicked, people that are evil, because when we continue in that direction, then they will continue to legislate us into poverty. So we need the right people, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must consider that in this ministerial list, and we hope that the Senate are going to do the needful when it comes to screening and confirmation of these people. Let it be people-oriented, people that are going to stand for truth, people that are going to work to improve the welfare of the people. I think that is what is basic, and like we've always said, if this list can come with portfolios, so that you see the right person occupying the right position, we will not end up having an accountant as a Minister of Education, because when you have an accountant as a Minister of Education, at the end of the day, how would you expect the person to really deliver when it comes to education? So let's have the right people occupying the right seats, so that the right policies and decisions are going to be taken for the betterment and growth of Nigeria.
Yeah, so people are asking, they're saying 4 days to go and yet to receive ministerial. Could it be deliberate, so that when the list is out, you know,
Like
that the people that probably will just be on the list are people that Nigerians will ask questions, and then there will be no time. The Senate will be fast on it to make sure that they tell them to take a bow and go, simply because there's no time, and then before you know it, you are being left with the same people from the same cycle and the rest.
You can't stop people from asking questions. Like I always say, we live in a country that there are a lot of questions but few answers. 4 days to go. He's still within the time frame, but we hope that he does the right thing.
Well, we hope that our leaders do the right thing. Thank you, Joyce, for doing this
Always a
with me
pleasure.
today. And viewer, we really appreciate you for giving us your time. Let's do this tomorrow, same time, same station. Bye-bye, and God bless you.